I'm gonna be honest, I don't think this is gonna do too good against the mushroom. I think we're gonna be a little underwhelmed, but we shall see. It's the new liquid cooling. Yo guys, what is up? Max in Wonderlands video, and today we're going over all of the weapons that were changed in the most recent hotfix. There were some pretty drastic nerfs, some pretty drastic buffs, and I kind of want to go over the winners, quote-unquote winners, the weapons that are now performing the best under the hotfix, and the quote-unquote losers, the weapons that got hurt the most, and kind of give you an idea of where these weapons stack up by ranking them basically based on their performance. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you do, be sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe. With that, guys, let's get right into it. So I want to start out with the White Rider. Now, this was actually one of the stronger weapons prior to this hotfix, and it is now even stronger. Poison SMGs were buffed. This thing received a 50% buff, but it's like damage in its single beam actually received a little bit of a nerf. I think it netted out to around a 30% damage increase. I still recommend using its single beam. If you're not familiar with this weapon, it has two beam modes. The dual beam will branch out and hit multiple targets but deal less damage, and the single beam will deal more damage but only hit one target at a time. Now, if you're going to use this weapon, I recommend looking out for the consumes 2 ammo per shot roll on it. While that might not seem a deal, it actually is going to allow the weapon to dish out more damage, and I just want to show you guys a little bit of Chaos Chamber gameplay with this thing because I've found it to be really strong. I'm going to die to a barrel. All right, as I was saying, let's shoot some enemies. And this isn't like a min-max setup or anything right now. I'm on Spore Stabbo with some poison damage and some elemental damage increases, and this weapon's strong. It feels stronger to me than the Livewire as a like mobbing weapon. I don't think this is a bossing weapon still. Obviously, like you can meld bosses, but due to its like actual laser beam function, I think it's more of a mobbing weapon. But if you're looking for a good mobbing weapon, and if you're looking for a good poison weapon, this one is actually really nice to check out. It does good damage, it's got good ammo economy on it, and it's pretty versatile for like kind of any setup you want to run with it. If you want to go like a dot focus build or a gun focus build, it's pretty good. And yeah, that is the White Rider. Next up, we had to do this, the liquid cooling. The liquid cooling was nerfed by about 65%, kind of depending on your version, but around 65%. This thing used to have over 800 damage, and now it's sitting at around 280 times 2. This weapon, the liquid cooling, was dominating the meta. It was by far and away the strongest gun in the game. I think the nerf is too heavy. Personally, I would have loved to see like a 20 to 30% nerf on this thing, but 65% just kind of hurts. This weapon is still good though. It's still got really good fire rate. It still will kill enemies, but it is noticeable it's time to kill. Now, you're not going to notice it as much on like small mobs and stuff like that, but against beefier bosses, this thing just doesn't shred quite as hard. And one of the big downsides to this weapon prior to its nerf was its ammo. You found yourself running out of ammo, and it's now kind of suffering from that issue even more because you're going to be like shredding through that ammo even faster because it now takes more bullets to kill. I'm actually just going to swap to a while action skills active frost enchant and change that to frost damage, so that we can get a little bit more damage out of this thing. But yeah, liquid cooling is an unfortunate big loser of this. It received the largest damage decrease out of any of the weapons from yesterday's hotfix, and it's still good, it's still solid, but I do not think it's the best weapon in the game by a long shot. Next up, as an unfortunate loser of this hotfix, are the Cloudburst Arcturus. Now, I actually ranked these as, I think, the number 2 spell in the game. I don't think they're quite that anymore. In fact, they might not even be in the top 5. They're probably close. These things received about a 30% nerf. It was changed how their damage scales with their channeling. I believe that they were getting a channeling bonus before, and they're not getting that. And overall, I believe the nerf was about 30% in damage. I just want to show you guys a boss kill with these, and then show you a boss kill with the ice spikes, just for a comparison. To give an idea, I'm using basically identical gear, swapping between lightning and frost setups that I've farmed on this character. Channel to full. This is once again shock against shield. There's a nice little blast gas proc. Oh. Close. Almost dead. Cool. There's the kill. Now let's quickly swap over and do it on cryo. All right, now we're going to do the same kill, but with ice spikes. I'm using 2 spitting triple ice spikes. These are what I think are some of the best spells in the entire game right now. Just want to show you guys the damage difference. And that is the kill with the ice spikes. So, like, if you're using Cloudburst Arcturus, I recommend looking for the triple ice spikes, the Trickster's ice spikes, and the Impaling ice spikes. Those are, in my opinion, the strongest spells in the game right now. Next up, we have the Automagic. This received a 50% buff. This weapon drops from Banshee. You can also get it from the Chaos Chamber Pistol Bunny, and it can come in all elements. Now, this thing is a fast-firing Stoker pistol. Its bullets will pass through enemies, and I actually really haven't used it yet. We're going to be testing it right now. I'm using a cryo one with a Berserker Stabbo setup. I'm exactly on Spore Explosion. I'm thinking this might actually be a good weapon for that if this thing delivers the damage, which right now it's looking really good. Oh, I tried to do a little bang shot there. Right now this thing's actually looking pretty nice. This was a 50% buff to this. This thing with all of its pellets with the Spore Explosion enchant actually might be really nice, to be honest. If you can get a cryo one with the Spore Explosion enchant. Now, I have seen this thing roll in a, like, very different amount of magazine size and damage. Not sure what the best roll is personally, but I've seen it roll over 60 magazine size. I've seen it roll with 20 magazine size, and obviously the lower magazine size you have, the more damage, but also if you're constantly reloading, that's also not a very good thing. Now, after more time spent with the Automagic, I think it's one of the best pistols in the game. I don't think it's quite as good as the liquid cooling was prior to its nerf, nowhere close, but it is just a very solid pistol. It reminds me a lot of the Light Show in that it doesn't do any one thing particularly well, but just for overall damage, it's really, really nice, and I think it's going to be a staple for a lot of builds for just dealing gun damage because it's really nice. It comes in all elements. You can get a bunch of different variations of it. Overall, really good change, and I like this pistol a lot. Real quick, all sniper rifles were buffed by 20%, and my favorite sniper rifles to use in the game right now are the Carouser sniper rifle and the Sawmill. The Sawmill is kind of like the Lyuda of this game. It's got really high DPS, but you'll run out of ammo extremely fast using this thing. And the Carouser is actually a weapon that I'm making a build with. I'm making a sniper build, and the Carouser is going to be the featured weapon, so keep an eye out for this thing because it's actually really good. It's got good damage. When you hit enemies with it, they're going to be like turned to your side so they don't attack you and they attack enemies instead, and it is locked to fire. Strongly recommend keeping an eye out for both of these snipers because I think they're both actually worth using now if you'd like to use them. Next up, we've got the Gluttony pistol. Now, this was already widely regarded as one of the best TDRs, or if not the best TDR chuck in the game, and it got a 15% buff during this hotfix, which is actually kind of crazy. So the way that I've been using this thing, for those of you that are curious, I've been seeing a lot of wrong information about how this thing actually works. This tornado does not deal melee damage. It does not deal spell damage. This is not a spell damage dealing weapon. It does gun damage. It is impacted by gun damage. The more gun damage and area damage and dark magic damage that you have on, the stronger these actual chucks will be. And also, from my testing, once again, I've tested this like a few times. I'm pretty sure I'm correct on this, is that this weapon has the red text equivalent exchange, and when you throw it, you actually lose health. I have not found any sort of damage increase when I throw this thing from high health versus low health. So I've actually been rocking a Deathless Clawbringer setup for it, which I've been enjoying, which when I throw this thing, the biggest downside to this weapon is when you throw it, you're going to lose health. But if I'm deathless, I don't lose any health, and then I can chuck this thing as much as I want. So keep an eye out for the Carver because you can actually do some really interesting things with it. I am really enjoying this weapon. I think it's one of the best TDR chucks. It was one of the best TDR chucks before its buff. Now it's even stronger. And lastly, we have the Masterwork Handbow. Now, this thing lost 50% of its critical hit damage and 30% of its gun damage, And this was one of the nerfs that frustrated me personally, honestly. This weapon has a strong niche in that it was good in From the Shadows, but it never felt overpowered without From the Shadows, and From the Shadows is something on cooldown. So this weapon didn't feel like it really deserved a nerf, in my opinion. It's still strong in From the Shadows. It's still a good option for both boss killing and mobbing. This thing in From the Shadows, when you're always critting, the reason I keep mentioning From the Shadows is good with this, if you're not aware, is that when you use this weapon, when you crit, you summon crossbolts out of thin air to kind of do like a crisscross on your target. And when you're not critting, you're just not going to be able to summon that effect. So it just doesn't work well unless you're critting. And this thing has like one pellet that is a bullet drop. It's kind of hard to hit crits with. So that's why it's so good in From the Shadows. This is a super like non-optimized kill or setup, but just to show you that when you're in From the Shadows with this thing, you're going to spam its special effect. And as you can see, like there, like we did a ton of damage. It's still good for that, but it's just not quite as strong as it was. I do think that there are other options for From the Shadows now if you're looking for a must-use weapon. And yeah, guys, that is going to do it for the video. Just testing of some of the weapons and things that were changed in this hotfix. I didn't test the Ruby Spite in this video. I think the Ruby Spite was a cool weapon, but I'm going to be honest, I really didn't use it prior to the nerf, so I can't speak knowledgeably about what it feels like now versus what it felt like before. And yeah, guys, I will catch y'all in the next one. Take care. Peace.